out what to give you on that chapter 16 to make that better.
You done the SLO problem?
I hope so. It's already due. Huh? Yes, you have to.
No,
Are you making fun? That'd be
they
nice.
both bullied me.
I wonder why. I wonder why.
I wasn't one of them.
Somehow I don't see that being a problem for you. I think you can. I think you can hold your own. Though is what I'm getting at. I think you can defend yourself just fine. All right, prime cost, conversion costs. They're just a different way of categorizing these expenses. Prime costs, and I put the picture up here because it kind of shows you. Prime costs can be prime costs consist of direct materials, direct labor. Conversion costs consist of direct labor and factory overhead. So direct labor could be both. It just depends on what the function is, what activity you're, naming or what function is being discussed. So conversion costs are converting the material, like the raw materials, into the finished product. So for instance, taking the wood and cutting it out into the shape of a guitar in this one, which y'all are probably clueless because you the example for this whole chapter is a guitar manufacturer. So it's like everything we look at kind of goes back to this guitar manufacturer. Okay, so well, I guess you're clueless. You did the homework, so you kind of somewhat.
It's kind of self-explanatory once I figured out the numbers.
It's really not hard. I mean, this chapter is not hard. It's just a bunch of information and terminology. Okay, so let's look at these costs and identify them as prime costs, conversion costs, or both. So, would fabric used to make shirts be prime, conversion, or both?
Prime.
Okay, it's prime. Ooh, I forgot to change my pencil back. I was using it for something else earlier, and it was like huge. What's funny is there's really, really skinny, and anything in between is that big fat size. So there's no difference. It's weird. You're supposed to have all these different pins.
You can put B, C, or B, but you don't have to put unless it's your phone.
Okay, because this is direct material, sorry. So think about it like that. What is this thing? All right, so grease for sewing machines. Sorry, y'all.
Conversion.
That would be conversion because it is what kind of a cost?
Factory overhead.
Because it's factory overhead. All right, what about the seamstress wages?
Both.
It'd be both. Because direct labor can be either, depending on the situation. Okay, what about electricity for the factory?
Conversion.
Yeah, that's conversion because it's factory overhead. No yawning. Am I boring you? It's just the material boring you. Advertising cost on a local TV station, huh?
You mean the prime cost for it? You said material. Like direct material would be the prime cost.
Yes.
But no, that's a conversion, right?
Yeah, direct materials is a prime cost. Yeah, advertising would be a conversion because it's factory
I
overhead.
was making a bad joke. You said
Look, I got a headache, so I'm even slower than usual on anything that I'm very literal anyway. So my head's hurting, so I will be even slower catching anything that's. I probably ain't gonna catch it today. All right, so second example on identifying these: aluminum for cans. It's materials. So it's prime because it's direct materials. Wages of the worker to be both because it's direct labor. For repairs the machine.
Conversion solution.
Yeah, because we call that factory overhead.
This one I wasn't sure about. Can this be both, or is it just going to be factory overhead for warehouse manager wages?
Well, because he's factory overhead, so he would be conversion.
There's no. I was wondering. I didn't know if he could ever be direct labor.
Only if he is directly hands on a product. All right, and then the flavored syrup on the drinks. Yeah, that's a direct material, so we're going to call that prime. Okay, that makes sense?
Yeah.
All right, so some of the terminology and some more terminology. Product costs and period costs. So product costs consist of the manufacturing costs. That's going to be your direct materials, direct labor, factory overhead. Period costs are selling and administrative, so they'd be anything else. Selling is going to be marketing and advertising, delivering product to the customers. Administrative is going to be managing the company and not directly something that's related to manufacturing and selling. So think of administrative as like office type stuff, like accounting, human resources. If there's a marketing department, it depends on the size of the company. I mean, if it's a small company, you don't have all these departments. But if it's a manufacturing company, they're probably pretty, chances are it's a big company, so they probably have a lot of departments. Okay, so reporting these different costs. Product costs are going to be reflected on the balance sheet as inventory. And we'll see, I'll show you all in a few minutes. We got like 3 different levels, different stages of the process. So you'll have 3 different inventory accounts. And they're also reported as cost of goods sold on the income statement once they're sold. Okay, period costs are going to be expenses. So you're not going to see them on the balance sheet. That's going to be like sales salaries, sales commissions, office utilities, stuff like that. All right, so because I like pictures, here is, these are exhibits out of the book, but it kind of gives you each category and what would fall under those, just to kind of help you if you're looking for something, you're not sure about something. Selling expenses, they gave you advertising, sales salaries, commissions. Administrative is office salaries, office supplies expense, and then depreciation on the office building. Depreciation on the factory would be factory overhead, so it'd be part of product costs. All right, so let's identify these as product or period costs. So fabric to make shirts, would that be product or period?
Product.
These are pretty easy. Grease on the machines. Seamstress wages.
Products.
She's making the stuff.
There's only one.
She's
period
direct
cost.
labor,
But a salary would be period.
not necessarily.
Salary
Okay,
is
so-
someone in like the administrative department. or-
Yeah, there you can have wages on the product side, wages on the office side. Because if you've got somebody that's directly involved, or even the factory manager or whatever, that's factory overhead. If it's direct labor, direct material, factory overhead, it's product. The period cost is going to be like anybody in the office or a salesperson. Like, so you'll have salaries on either side. It just depends on what their function is. If they're functioning in, selling, office, that kind of stuff, it's going to be period. So she'd be product. Or he. I said seamstress. What do you call a man that sews? Seamster?
Probably the same thing.
I don't know. That's a good. That's a
It's pretty sexist, if you ask me.
It is, isn't it? It's kind of like a stewardess. But they have stewards. So they say, well, so is salesman. but now they got a salesperson.
We gotta make a change.
It's just easier to
Maybe
use
it's
gender
a-
neutral and everything, right? Because it just makes life.
Well, I mean, when I hear salesman, I think, okay, it could be a male or a female. I don't immediately think, oh, that's a salesman. Salesperson, saleswoman, it's hard to say. I mean,
Yeah, you just say like salesperson said.
seamstress, though, and I know it's sexist, and I don't mean to be. I'm a female, but you just kind of think of that being as a woman. But like, I mean, my husband's a manly man, and he can sew. Of course, he sews like ghillie suits, and you know.
A couple of my uncles can sew. but they
What do you call it, Taylor?
There you go, a tailor. But you know,
It's different though.
it is kind of different because that's
Yeah,
kind of
you go more-
specialized.
Yeah, you like
That's
do
more
fancy
like for
suits.
alterations. But tailors make suits too.
But they mostly do like suits and stuff where it's like.
I kind of like seamstress.
That's what guys wear in suits, ghillie suits.
Yeah.
Track suits.
What
I
was
wear
he
t-shirts
working?
and
He was
shorts. I feel
working
like-
on a ghillie hood or something the other day. I was like, "What are you doing now?"
He sticks twigs and stuff in it.
Probably. I don't know, but his looked good. He was training some guys one weekend, and they showed up, and his is like high speed looking because he made it, you know. And he used to make them in the Air Force. He's a sniper. So, they had like bought theirs somewhere. I got so tickled because Jim like pulls no punch. He'll tell you look dumb. And one of them, he said, "Man, I don't know where you got that thing, but you look like Chewbacca." And he would make that chewy growling, like gurgling sound. Oh my gosh. It was hard for me to get through the day because I was out there with them taking pictures and stuff. And I was like, I can't. You got to stop. You got to stop. And the other guys, his was mediocre, but anyway, if you want a decent one, you got to make it yourself, apparently.
Seamster is the masculine.
Seamster? Did you look it up?
Yeah, but sewist
All right.
would be like the gender neutral.
What is
Like sewist. Like
sewist?
Like you like the SEW, you can sew.
Sewist or seamster. I think seamster.
I like I sew. Just saying I sew is like the best.
That one just makes me laugh, huh?
Just saying like I sew.
I know, right?
And you just say like, oh yeah, I sew.
The person who
Oh my
sews,
God.
the person operating the sewing machine.
There you go.
Okay, electricity for the factory.
Products.
That's product. All right, what about advertising?
Period.
That's a period cost.
That's
Yes.
what it costs.
Marketing. I mean, marketing's not necessarily just a ad on TV. I mean, it can be like giving away free samples of food and stuff, and
You have to expense that, yeah.
which I don't know that they really do anymore because of COVID. But
They were doing that back even like 2018, 2019 in Walmart. Like they would do like small samples
oh yeah,
before COVID.
yeah, they used to have those. You go in the grocery store hungry and you like go and eat the samples. I hadn't had lunch. I'm gonna pass this lady a few
I saw a
times.
family one time over back in grapes. You know, like, when you go in the grocery store, somebody you go at the same time, you kind of go in there at the same time, check out at the same time. They had a whole bag of grapes and the empty backpack fully checked out.
Yeah, I had to tell one of my classes one time that that's stealing. And they're like, why is it stealing? We didn't take anything. I said, you took it out in your stomach. Yes, it is. Because they're like, what if you go into a Walmart and you're hungry and you like eat a box of Cheez-Its or something while you're shopping and you don't pay for them? I said, then you've stolen the Cheez-Its. Well, I'm not taking them out. I said, yes, you are. I mean, you take them out in a different form than you started with.
What about
but
when you
they're
get an
still-
icy at the gas station, you get check out, and then you're sitting on the whole time, and you go to refill it, and you leave.
I don't know. They might allow that.
So I did.
I don't know. They probably don't. I mean, they let you have,
There you go.
don't they let you have refill? Well, I think it's maybe cheaper refills. Yeah, depends on how much of it you drank, because it does have foam. You kind of have to go back and add because you have to let the foam settle down. All right.
I think these are all products.
These are all product costs. I mean, I didn't have the aluminum for the cans. That's direct material. Wages of the worker on the machine, product. Repairs to the bottle machine, that's factory overhead, so it's part of it. Wages of the warehouse manager, that's product. And,
This is factory overhead.
and the flavored syrup is definitely part of the product. All right.
Sweet.
Yeah, as long as it's not Pepsi. I'm not a big Pepsi fan.
I'm not a big Coke fan.
I love it. Coke Zero. All right, sustainability. So y'all know, y'all ever heard them talk about the sustainability area and at Hines? It's like the whole recycling thing.
Yes. Office of Sustainability.
It really, surprisingly, it raises quite a bit of money for the school. So I was surprised.
It's like over a few million dollars, right?
Huh?
I think they said in the last few years it's been over $1 million.
Oh, really? I don't know. I know when Mr. Pope came and talked to us when we were doing our orientation, like new employees, and he was saying that the reason they even started it was because years back, I think it was that department had gotten a budget cut like $250,000 or something. And so they're trying to figure out how to make it back up. So they did, practical things like turning the lights out and making sure the computers were off and turning the air up at night and stuff like that. But they got into this recycling thing because they'll sell that stuff to this dude in Canton that has a company that collects recyclables and sells them to companies to actually do the recycling. And we collected quite a bit of money on that. It was $250,000. I think they covered it and then some that year they started. So I don't know how much they make now, but it's pretty impressive. And if you start kind of collecting stuff to bring up here, I got to make a run because my garage is like full of plastic bottles, cans, boxes from all the stuff we've ordered. I mean, any kind of paper, magazines, or catalogs, all that kind of stuff. Then they'll take it. So it's pretty cool. Textbooks, if you decide to throw your textbooks away, go take them and put them in a recycle bin. I'll take those too. Okay. So managers must consider these social and environmental settings in which a business operates in order to make sound strategic and operational decisions. They have to be careful not to hack off anybody that is an environmentalist and trying to watch out for the best for our planet. So, plus, I mean, they need to not do things like that are going to hurt. Don't pour out your toxic waste in the local lake. It's not a good idea.
You got one planet. Make it work.
So, the potential for success is impacted by, and this is kind of common sense, population growth. I mean, if you're selling products to the general public, I mean, if population grows, then you can sell more product. Resource scarcity. If you don't have your resources, I read something this morning about scarcity of microchips or something. So our car prices are probably going to go up.
My computers are skyrocketing all the time.
I was like,
They're watching this, man.
I was like, what the heck, man? I mean, those things, from everything I've ever learned about microchips, they're like super cheap to produce.
The problem isn't that they're not cheap to produce. The problem is that the material's getting harder to get.
Well, they also probably cut back when things got kind of.
The main issue is that
And a lot of companies cut back and then they can't get the operations back up to speed fast enough. Well, because there was no predicting any of it anyway. So, declining ecosystems. Yeah, that's we've all heard about rainforests and all that kind of stuff. Declining wetlands, I'm sure, is part of it because we have wetland conservation in Mississippi. I don't know now, you used to be able to get some kind of tax break if you took some of the property you had and converted it to wetlands for the conservation program. So, increasing urbanization, that's going to cause us not to have as many trees and stuff. And then climate change. I mean, all this is pretty much common sense. You've heard it before. So managers use new management techniques and tools that consider these issues like sustainability. So operating a business to maximize profits while they attempt to be conscious of the environment, the economy, and needs of future generations. I'm not, there are companies that do this. Like I know Google's one of them. Amazon's talking about, if they haven't already, going completely to electric delivery trucks, so I'm interested to see how that works out because as far what I know about electric vehicles, they don't stay charged very long. But
plus the ion batteries.
Yeah, so I mean everything that so not using gas, I don't know. It all has a trade-off.
We're eventually going to run out of Yeah. They have to eventually switch to something else.
Yeah, eventually.
all the time.
Sustainability practices that a company's long-term success requires. They gotta have natural resources, obviously, and a productive social environment. I mean, it's like I said, it's pretty much kind of common sense. Eco-efficiency and managerial accounting. They need feedback to kind of guide the company's decision making. So when I say feedback, okay, so they make certain changes, you know, to be more eco-friendly. They need to compare numbers and see did that increase revenue? Did it hurt revenue? They need that information to control costs. Just flipping lights off and turning the air up and stuff like that, that saves your utility expense and helps your electric bill, and then keeps their costs down. And then allocating their resources efficiently, that's kind of common sense. I mean, that could be resources like natural resources or people, you know, using everybody's time wisely, having your people spread out to where you're getting, you know, everybody's working efficiently. You don't have too many people in one place or whatever. Oh, look at that. That's misspelled. Mangers.
I've done that. And child and trail.
It helps mangers.
Try child and trail.
You could unplug that stuff.
I got it.
Child and trail.
Trial
Trial.
and trail.
I've done. I didn't notice that earlier.
They're
Yeah, it's really bad when you're teaching legal environment.
And you can't spell
And
trial.
you go back through and about half of it says trail.
Do you make up your own words?
A lot.
Selmer was one of my favorite.
Who?
Selmer. Seller, buyer, Selmer. Yeah. I have probably had a headache. That's what I blame it on. Makes me goofy. All right, so helps managers evaluate the savings generated by using fewer natural resources in a company's operation. So, you know, maybe their plan is to conserve, you know, some natural resource like, you know, cotton they're using and making fabric or something. And to, you know, gauge that. Did that make a difference? Did it not? You know, how is that working for us? All right, so sustainability info can benefit external financial statement users in their decision making. So they can look at, you know, are y'all taking measures to reduce costs? You know, risk and opportunities that face a company are tied to the environment in which they operate. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. And it can provide important insights for the potential for its success. So financial statements in a manufacturing business. I told you there were 3 different kind of levels of inventory. So materials inventory is kind of like the basic beginner starting point for manufacturing. That's your raw materials. That's your stuff you're going to use and put together or convert to make your product. So you might have costs of direct and indirect materials in that inventory, but they have not entered the manufacturing process yet. So it's materials that are just sitting there waiting to move into the manufacturing process. All right, the next inventory would be work in process. So that's direct materials, direct labor, factory overhead costs. Those products they're in the process of manufacturing, but they're not finished yet. So they're still in process, hence work in process. Like, again, common sense. Finished goods inventory, these are completed products. They hadn't been sold yet, or they wouldn't still be in inventory. They'd be in cost of merchandise sold. All right, so just looking at a balance sheet, this is a merchandising balance sheet where we just had merchandise inventory. The company's buying stuff to sell from somewhere else. Manufacturing, you've got inventory consistent of 3 different numbers because you've got 3 different levels of cost. Y'all just write this stuff down. We're going to go through all this. I don't know if you know, on the income statement, you got to have cost of goods manufactured. So that's the cost of making products available for sale. You have to have that number to determine what your cost of goods sold is. And sometimes to get that number, you will prepare a statement of cost of goods manufactured. So you got steps there. We're actually going to go through them. So I'm not gonna read them off to you. So on your income statement, you've got cost of goods manufactured, cost of finished goods available for sale, and then cost of goods sold that you'll see on there. You out there with this top part? I know it's boring, I'm sorry.
So it's just all we have left are examples, right?
Yeah. All right, so looking at the difference between like a merchandising company and a manufacturing business is cost of merchandise or goods sold, cost of merchandise available for sale. You just got different things on there. Like that's a merchandising business. I don't think we ever even did one like that. We just had sales, cost of merchandise sold, gross profit. But this is kind of the in-between stuff that you use to figure out what cost of merchandise sold is. And this one's just got extra stuff on it. It's a little bit different because you've got to deal with the different levels of inventory. This is like a template for you for the statement of cost of goods manufactured for you to look back at if you need it for homework. But we're gonna go through calculating cost of goods manufactured and cost of goods sold. This is not actually like a statement, but it's similar. So we've got this company, Clothier's company, and we've got these different items that are part of manufacturing. Cost of direct materials used in production, direct labor, factory overhead, work in process, and finished goods, beginning and ending inventory. Oh, I've got it up here still. Hey.
Yes.
So you start with work in process inventory on May 1st, the beginning of the month. You've got to determine your manufacturing cost for the month by taking your direct materials used, your direct labor for the month, your factory overhead for the month. Add all this together. When you add that to your beginning work in process inventory, you get total manufacturing costs. You honestly have to kind of sit down and read through it and think about it, and it'll click. Just kind of sitting here and me reading it off to you and you writing it down probably ain't gonna do much for you. Yeah? No? All right, so once you get the total manufacturing costs, so subtract out the work in process, because I mean, we're not going to include what's still in process in our cost of goods manufactured. Cost of goods manufactured means they're done. We're finished with it. So we're not going to include, so we got to take that out, to subtract that from your total manufacturing cost for the month. And then to figure cost of goods sold, you start with your finished goods inventory at the first of the month, add the manufacturing costs in there, and that's going to give you finished goods available for sale. Subtract out your ending inventory, and that'll tell you what you got left. That's and it's cost of goods sold. Okay, so the next one, y'all are supposed to do on your own. So y'all give that a shot. Problem is your blanks are not complete. I tell you what, here we go. I mean, you just have to complete the blanks. They're blank on yours. I mean, you can write the numbers down too, or I can erase them and get them together. You want to just write them down so you can read?
Yeah.
Kind of sort of.
Huh?
Cafeteria's calling my name.
Because I've got in here like a formal statement of cost of goods manufactured and a income statement. But the thing is, you don't have to prepare income statements for your homework. There's not even a problem to give you to do that. And
we don't have to do these last two papers.
no, the work in process, the cost of goods manufactured statement you have, this kind of gives you for this problem. It gives you a template, shows you what goes on there and what to include. Because the exercise, the examples we're doing, you got like a total for factory overhead. Well, if you're trying to do a problem, you're like, what's included in factory overhead? They should tell you, but if they don't, you know, you can see by looking at this last example, what is included in it. Does that make sense? I know.
That
Not
actually
everybody-
made sense for me. I don't remember how to read it.
Yes, but it's important to me that it makes sense, so.
It does. You're essentially like a lot of these costs, like, cause you think about like direct labor effect, or those are things you're having to pay for.
You have to think about what goes into it.
It's like, how much are you paying these people or paying for this product?
Yep.
And how much are you gonna get out of it?
Right.
Listen,
So. What's the last number? I can't see it. Just don't feel like I don't feel like that.
You're cheating.
I didn't do it.
No, he's cheating.
Working smarter.
He's thinking, that's true. Working smarter, not harder. That's,
time efficient.
I'm not real good.
So,
I'm not good at that. I always work harder, not smarter.
that's right. Putting it on my baseball here.
So that's all we're gonna do for this chapter. Y'all got homework and quizzes to do for Tuesday, so I'm not gonna add anything. We'll start chapter 19 next week. And it kind of takes all of this stuff and we put it into play, like use it. How are we gonna use it? So,
Yeah. Have you decided if we're gonna do chapter 5?
I don't think we're gonna have time to get to 21. It's
So I was
fine.
asking, like, if we're gonna do that last week, or if we're just gonna like review.
I don't know yet.
The test on that hours.
Do what now?
The test on that is.
It's gonna be included on the exam.
Okay.
But you will have a quiz on it, on those 2 chapters.
Like we
So,
did last time.
like we do every time for a test.
Oh.
So I'll do that. I'll have a quiz for you on those 2 chapters. So you'll have to do that. But, you will not be tested on it for your exam. That will kind of be your testing on it.
Sounds like a deal. So if you're excused from the test, you can be.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
See, I'm going to awards, so we're going to confirm with all these people, they don't have to show up.